A beauty, isn't it? Doesn't it look like a masterpiece of a professional French chef? But it isn't. I decorated that handsome wedding cake right here in my own kitchen, and I'm no artist either. Oh, of course I had help. The best help in the world. This famous Tala Icing set. With this Tala syringe and 6 3-layer cake, Tala and I are going to transform it into a really festive birthday cake. Of course, the right icing and proper foundation are important, but I've told you all you need to know right here in this book, how to decorate a cake, which you'll find along with our other goods at the Tala counter. Now I place my cake on a turntable. It isn't absolutely necessary to have it, but of course the turntable does make it much easier, and it's well worth the small price it costs. To start, I take the syringe and select the star tip number 8. I screw it to the syringe. Next I remove the plunger. To do this, I just turn this cap to the left. With a knife, I fill the syringe half full of icing. Or maybe you prefer to use a spoon. Then I replace the plunger and the cap and secure by giving it a turn to the right. And I'm all ready to go. Now watch. I insert the thumb of my right hand in this ring at the end of the plunger. See how my index and third fingers slip naturally into these other rings. That's what makes Tala so easy to work with. It's designed to fit your hand. If you're a beginner, it's a good idea to practice on a piece of paper just to get the knack of it. See how simple it is. This is going to be a birthday cake, so I first trace the name on the cake. I'm going to start decorating by making a row of stars round the edge with tip number 8. I hold the decorator straight up, press out a little icing and withdraw the tip quickly. Press out, withdraw, working fast all round the cake. With a little practice, you'll get all the stars perfectly even. Now isn't it pretty? I'm going to give our cake a border, so I change the tip to number 5. This is done quickly and easily. This time the position of the syringe is slanting, and I move it to and fro to get a wavy effect. You see that I'm working with a decorator in my right hand only. It's easy because it fits the hand so comfortably. This leaves my left hand free to revolve the turntable, makes the work go faster. And here's our border. Attractive, isn't it? Now I'm writing the name I've traced before. For this, I use the wonderful Tala Icing Pen. It's so very simple because the pen gives you a quite effortless control of the thread of icing used for writing. To emphasize the lines, I go over them a second time with a circular movement, which gives a smart chord effect. Now the candles. And the frill. There you are. Isn't it a really charming birthday cake? And you've seen how simple it is. Actually fun, with the magic Tala icing set. But maybe you want ornamental decorations besides just borders and writing. Perhaps you'd like your cake divided into sections with a more elaborate pattern repeated in each space. For this, you will have better success with a Tala cake marker. You can purchase this marker here. And here it is, a wonderful gadget for marking cake patterns easily and accurately. For example, one like this. First, I pin the cake marker to the center. For this pattern, we had to divide the cake into 8 sections. When hooked together, the cake marker covers exactly 1/8 of the cake, and by swiveling it round, I can easily mark out my 8 sections. The marking's done either with a pen or a pencil. I use a pencil, so that you may see quite clearly what I'm doing. Now I trace the scrolls to the left of the dividing line. Then I turn the marker and trace them on the other side of the line. Lastly, I link up these scrolls with an ordinary C scroll, which is also cut out on the marker. And we're ready to begin decorating. I pipe over the large scroll in delicate green using a number 14 tip. And the C scrolls with pink icing and number 2 tip. Isn't that a delightful effect? And not a bit difficult. You just follow the traced pattern. Next, I'm going to show you the most fascinating part of cake decorating, the making of flowers, like these. Such flowers are built up petal by petal with a number 11 tip. For this type of work, you need flower nails. This is a flower nail. With a little dab of icing, you first attach a square of waxed or slightly greased paper on top of the nail. Then, holding the nail in your left hand and the syringe in your right, you start from the center. Guide the syringe from the center outwards and back, turning the nail at the same time. Do each petal the same way, partly overlapping the previous one. And there's your flower. Just finish it off with a center made by a dab of yellow icing. You can make flowers of many sizes, shapes and colors in the same way. Now here's a rose. It's made somewhat differently with a number 18 tip. I'll show you, using for a change the icing pen. We start with a tiny cone of icing. You pipe these on little squares of paper the day before you're going to make your roses. This gives time to harden. To make the heart of the rose, go round the tip of the cone like this. The petals are started just below the heart, guiding the tip up and down, keeping the rose small at the base. Do one petal after another until the rose is finished. You can see how the petals are standing up and curling. Isn't that a lovely rose? Flowers take a few days to set and harden, so make them in advance. When they're dry, peel them off the paper and fix them to the cake with a dab of icing. can get a handsome effect by applying clusters of flowers to a cake decorated with trellis work. That's the way this cake was done. It really is perfect. These are but a few of the basic designs which can be created with Tala icing equipment. Once you've started, there'll be no end to the interesting and ornamental patterns and effects you can produce. Just use your imagination. You'll find it a thrilling experience to devise new ideas and designs. We've used today only a few tips, but there are 42 tips available, shaped for every conceivable pattern. But cakes aren't the only foods you can decorate with Tala. See this luscious, colourful salad? Tala was used in applying that artistic topping of mayonnaise dressing. At your next party, you can create a sensation with hors d'oeuvres decorated with your Tala set. These delicious and dainty desserts also owe their glamour to Tala, for Tala's just as good for applying whipped cream or meringue as it is for icing. And just take a look at this parade. Cupcakes, sandwiches, biscuits, jellies, and dainty cockles. Oh, there's no limit to the variety of fascinating things you can do with Tala. The most helpful and thrilling equipment you can find in any kitchen is made by Tala.